This is the only place in the universe where you get a body, you get to taste your coffee, you get to have chocolate, and you get to dance, you have free will, and that's pretty fucking extraordinary.
Welcome back, friends, to Divine Feminine Radio, your weekly sanctuary for feminine wisdom in a masculine world. I'm your host, Ronnie Kala, here today with the beautiful Tamara Rose again. Tamara, it's so good to have you back in the studio. If this is your first time joining us, Tamara has been deconstructing the Divine Feminine for over 15 years. She's the founder of the Divine Success Method and also my sister. It's been a few weeks, Tamara. How have you been?
I know, I kind of am getting jealous. You're interviewing other people. I thought this was our time. I'm just kidding. You get with it, get with it, Ronnie. But yeah, it's been a few weeks. I kept thinking, this is the week. No, this is the week. No. And then the week came. Yay.
We're back in the groove. We got you back.
Back in it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, today we're diving into different frameworks. We'll call it different things. Paradigm, framework, fishbowl. We've said it a bunch of different times in a bunch of different ways, but really seeing how people live beyond their paradigm, live beyond their framework, break free of their current framework and reality to create a new one. So we'll look at some examples of people who've done that before. Tamara, how you do it in your own life and how our listeners and our audience can do it too and start implementing some practices.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's break some frameworks, y'all. But before we do that, we do have 2 questions from our community that we have to answer because we haven't seen your face in so long and we need you to answer some questions from our people.
I love it.
They're asking for you. All right, so somebody asks for Tamara, at what age did you realize you were breaking the cycle? Did you have somebody who believed in you, someone that showed you that other options existed? At what age, and did you have somebody?
Okay, I don't. So there's cycles, and then there's like tuning into new radio frequencies. Let's see, right? So there's like. The way that I would describe, I remember one time, right? So one time, and this one stood out, and I think I told you this before, but our aunt who married into the family was like the strong California personality, which was something that I had never seen. Like I grew up in passive aggressiveville with both of my parents, and so everything was always fine. Everything was, it's like, don't rock the boat. And this strong outspoken personality came into view, and I remember watching her communicate, and I remember watching her just like do life, and I was probably in middle school maybe at the time, and I just remember being like, oh, there was like a little ping in my head. How would she handle this? What would she say? What would she do? Like I saw somebody who was doing something different. And so when we see somebody doing something different, that is a new framework, essentially. We're like, you can think of like, well, Oprah's a freaking billionaire. Like, what would she do? Or like somebody who has lots of money. Could be Elon Musk, but like that dude is like really screwing the pooch. Nobody likes how he's doing money. But like a Warren Buffett, how does he do money? Or you're like, okay, Tiger Woods is an amazing athlete. Let's not look at his personal life, but like he's an amazing athlete. Like how would he do that? Right. So like people who do something different are giving you insights to a different kind of reality you could have. And I think that was really interesting. So like I started mirroring a lot of my communications in that directness from that point on. And that was in middle school. It gave me like an eye-opening to like some glimpse into how could I be more bold, I think, in a like not that old.
You mean you haven't always been bold and fierce?
No. Oh my God, no. I had to train myself. I know. Which is funny. Like I'm also reading this book called The Roots of Desire. It's all about redheads and like the history. And it's like, we're just fighters and we're just sexual objects, and I'm like, that is what? And it's like a wild. I'm like, no, I was in passive aggressiveville. I barely made it out alive. Not always like that. So it was definitely a trained trait, right? Did that answer the question? I'm like,
what age did you realize you were breaking the cycle? Did you have someone who believed in you, someone that showed you other options existed? So you had someone that showed you other options existed.
Yeah, 100%. I was always looking for other options though. So I think that was ingrained in me, like, that what genetics, epigenetics book. Like you get it at a yard sale, you're like, that's a big read for a middle schooler, it's like so I think I was always looking for like something new, something different, I think subconsciously like some new way of being. I think that was there, but like, and looking at new ways to like function and operate. But I mean, I still got stuck in the cycle. I was in my 20s working in corporate, like the corporate world, but I did in my 20s also like, sue the company I worked for because of, sexual, not good things happening in the workplace, so like that happened. Yeah. So, and then always trying to be an advocate, always trying to use my voice, always trying to make change. I think that was important.
Awesome. And second question I have for you is, can we ever actually be an expert? So we talked a few weeks ago about beginner's mindset, having a beginner's mindset, mastering something. Is it possible that we can ever actually be an expert in something?
You can be an expert at being a beginner. You could be an expert at like, being in the discovery. You can be an expert, right? So like if we're going to say expert, you have to identify like what is expert, right? So again, we're going to go back to the framework. Like, what is your definition of expert? If your definition of expert is like, oh, I made it, probably not. That's probably like never going to happen, but if you're like if you look at, Warren Buffett with like money, he's like an expert in like playing the money game. He just pulled out all of his money from stocks. So is he an expert at the stock market? Well, he just pulled all his money out. So he is an expert. But if you think it's like playing the right stocks, if that's what your expertise is, like he wouldn't fit that framework. But if he's like an expert at like watching things and pulling out when he needs to pull out and going when, you know what I mean? Like, then he's an expert at that. And so I think he's still like learning, if you will. And it's fascinating too. I think it's like beginner's mindset is always about learning and acquiring new knowledge. And so like he's acquiring new knowledge as far as like what's trending and what's happening. And he's like super into that. And so I think there's an expertise that comes with a beginner's mindset. I don't think it's actually like you stop being a beginner mindset. Like that conversation I just had with my ex-husband was like wild right now. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. And so I'm not like, I don't ever think I'm expert going into those conversations. I think I'm like, how is that going to happen? You know what I mean? And so I think you could be expert in being like in surrendering and not knowing, in like being expert and being in something new that you don't know, and learning and being flexible. Like that's what keeps coming to mind. It's like a Gumby, like a bendy flexi, like the Matrix. You're like, like you could be expert in that, and that actually makes you more expert in life.
So it sounds like it's about not just saying, oh, I know it all and I've done it all and I've made it, but the more that you can be flexible and have the beginner's mindset of like, what else can I learn? What else can I learn? That's the thing that makes you an expert, is like how interested you are and obsessed you are with like continuing your craft and your practice of like whatever you're forwarding.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I think actually the experts are always in the beginner mindset. And I think the people who think they made it and they are expert, I think they know less than others.
And I think that's a great lead into the topic today, when we're talking about like the framework of what we're functioning from and how to break free of the framework, live outside of the framework that we're functioning from. Yeah. So let's just give a foundation to like what we're talking about and what this means exactly. So the way that we've described it before is like the current reality that we're living in is like a fishbowl. It's a framework, it's a fishbowl, it's a paradigm. And your thoughts, feelings, and actions, your energy determines your fishbowl. Your fishbowl becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't necessarily see or get out of your fishbowl if it doesn't match your current way that you see reality. The only way that things can show up is if it matches the way that you see the world, the way that you see the reality.
Yeah, and you could also say it this way, which might be easier too, is like your belief system. What you believe is how everything shows up.
So if you believe people are showing up a certain way, if you believe opportunities only come this way, money only works this way, jobs only work this way, success only works this way, that's the only way it can show up in your paradigm.
100%. And you can look, I mean, the easiest way to look at that is like, I mean, I think relationships are usually the easiest mirror for most people. You know, so if you're like, and this is really hard to hear for some people. So if you had like a narcissistic parent, I think narcissist is such like a buzzword nowadays, you know, but like a narcissistic parent, which most people who had boomer parents have like narcissistic parents, like the world revolves around them. You end up serving the narcissistic parent in a way when you're growing up. And that's how a lot of us have been trained is like, okay, I have to make sure everything's okay for my mom or my dad, or I have to make the relationship work, or I have to like apologize, even if it's not my fault. And your parents would say, you know, well, I forget, we were in this world so much and we're so not in this world. I actually forgot like what used to be said to us, but like our grandmother would be like, well, you should just apologize to your dad. I'm like, why would I apologize to my dad? Well, it's important because family's important, you know, like some shit like that. And you're like, that is wild. If that was a stranger on the street, we would have no compassion for that bullshit. Do you know what I mean? And so we were trained like that. Like the kids had to do the outreach and the kids had to do the work, and that was our responsibility. So now, and this is interesting, right? So y'all, if you're single or you're in a relationship, think about this one right here. Okay, so now you get in a relationship and most people are like, I just want somebody to love and adore me and worship me. But love looks like narcissism. So if you have somebody who loves and adores you, it actually doesn't match your fishbowl. It doesn't match your belief system. It doesn't match your framework. And it cannot exist. You will kill it off. They will leave. They'll prove you right in your reality, whatever.
You'll find something wrong with it so that it leaves.
It will die 100% of the time because the belief system is such. And so this is also cognitive dissonance. There's a separation. You want this lovely relationship that you see in the movies, but your definition of love is narcissism. So you can only attract narcissism, you can only see narcissism, you can only exist in narcissism until you get a different framework. Right? And so then, like, I'm sure Dad was a narcissist. I never like used those words because it like anchors such a reality. I'm sure my mother was a narcissist for sure. Like, yo. However, like, if you actually desire something new, you have to like do the work to be like, okay, but well, like, what does love mean for me? And how does that look? And like, how do I want it? And like, give up that framework. The narcissism doesn't exist.
Another great example is with money. Like, money is a tangible thing, and I feel like it's easier for people to see sometimes. So like, if you have it that you have to work really hard for money, the only way to make money is through a 9-to-5, a salary, or it's not easy to just like sit on the couch and like have money come to you, or getting paid to just exist. Like, that seems way too out of the box and too hard, and that could never be for me. Like, really looking at all of the judgments, point of views, conclusions you have about money and how it shows up for you will determine your belief system with money and how you can receive too.
100%. So like, if, you know, a lot of people want to like quit their 9-to-5 and start something new, but you think that well, first of all, the 9-to-5 gives you security. You have like a paycheck that's regulated. So when you quit a 9 to 5 and you don't have that regulated paycheck and you don't have the quote unquote security, which is all false anyways, right? And you go into this place where you have to make the money, you're in a completely different framework.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you did that, like I did, I quit my job, but I traveled for a while. It wasn't like, oh, I need to like start being an entrepreneur. I was just traveling. Okay. But when I started like then detoxing from 9 to 5 and then becoming an entrepreneur, it's like you have to learn how to function in a new framework. And that framework requires a lot of trust. That framework requires a lot of like self worth, because money's only going to come to you if you're worthy of self. Like, because
Mm-hmm.
now you're dealing with money as an, like, you're really in money as an energy. 9 to 5, it's like, I do this. This was the agreement. It's coming to me. This is how it goes, And if I just uphold my end of the agreement and I'm there 9 to 5, like money fucking comes. But now you're in a whole new framework where you have to learn money as an energy. Money is going to be attracted to you if you're at that high frequency, if you are of high self-worth, have high self-value, right? And so now you put yourself in a new fishbowl, and some people can't survive because they're stuck to the security in the 9 to 5 framework.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go all in. You have to learn a new framework
Mm-hmm.
inside of like going from like 9 to 5 to entrepreneur. And
Totally.
there's a lot of things people don't think about, right? And you're like, I think it was like when we were looking at mastering the energetics of business, it was like, okay, well, you've got an offer to offer people, and you've got your value in what you're doing, and then you've got like just business logistics. You're like, you got EINs and tax things, and like, how does the money work? And I also remember talking to somebody like going from like, oh, I get a W-2 from this thing, but I could be getting like being a contractor. I'm like, well, when you're a contractor, you're in charge of your money. So like, have a bank account and pay yourself out a salary.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be okay with like, that's my bank account and I'm paying myself out as a salary. You know what I mean? So like, there are all
Mm-hmm.
these things to consider that are logistics, but also there's an energetics of each framework, and your belief system is going to like see whether you sink or swim in your fishbowl.
Mm-hmm.
See what I
Totally. Sink or swim. I love it. So if that's the way that reality is like occurring, let's say, is to
Mhm.
match your belief system and show up as a fishbowl, a paradigm, a framework.
It's not occurring. That is how reality works. That is
Mm-hmm.
how the universe works. It is always matching your belief system. There
Mm-hmm.
is no like gray area. Okay. Sorry. I had
Thank
to
you.
get on myself.
Thank you. So that's how reality works. So
Mm-hmm.
then jumping out and getting out of this framework, like into a new fishbowl, into a new framework, into a new paradigm, like what
Mm-hmm.
that actually takes and what that actually looks like.
Mm-hmm. What does it take? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I mean, it takes new thoughts, feelings, and actions. It takes
Mm-hmm.
being uncomfortable. It takes like seeing something as a different possibility and a different way of being.
I mean, it's literally the whole thing we do at the Beyond Human Method. Like, if you're like, what does it take? I'm like, that's the whole program. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to calm down your fight or flight reactions, right? So you have to like master your nervous system. You have to master, yes, your thoughts, feelings, and actions. You have to master your alignment. You have to take new actions consistent with the new fishbowl alignment, right? Like, that's what truly alignment is. You have to honor yourself as an infinite creator who's like super powerful. You can like,
Mm-hmm.
if you can change the weather, you can like change money situation, right? Like, you have to trust. You have to have a boatload of trust. You have to surrender to your path. You have to surrender to your higher self. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to create in that framework. And creation in that framework is like a dance with the universe. It's not like my ego's telling me what to do all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and
And
then like intuition, like just boatloads of intuition too. Go ahead.
mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of us get stuck in that's just the way that it is. Like this framework, this belief system, this life is just the way that it is, and I can't change it or I can't do something about it. We see other people that live outside of the framework or live like these incredible lives, and we say,
Hmm.
oh, like we put them on a pedestal somehow. Like, oh,
Yeah.
they did it, and that's really cool, but there's no way I could do that. We don't see
Hmm.
it as they're an example of something else we could also do.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So like the people who come to mind are like the ones that I said, right? Like like Oprah created a new opportunity, a new reality for people, right? And that was like, sure, there were talk show hosts, but Oprah became like the go-to gal, right? Like, what was it about her? And like, also freedom for women and Black women to create this fame and this wealth, like a
Mm-hmm.
next level of wealth. Do you know what I mean? To where I remember just like a whole era of people being like, yeah, I want to be the Oprah of this, or I want to be Oprah. I want to be the next, it's like that became the household name, that like thing to strive to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she did it by creating a new framework. Like she started off as like, a news anchor, but really getting in and creating a new framework from like TV show host and like how to do things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot about the people who start running faster. It's like there's leaps and bounds of like an Olympian who breaks a 6 minute mile, and then
Mm-hmm.
they break the 5 minute mile, and then it's like they're running a mile in 4 minutes. And you're like, what in the actual fuck? And so
Mm-hmm.
like the framework of like, oh, humans just can't do that, and then you're like, but they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they're living in a completely new reality of what is possible.
Yeah.
Or like near me, they have the 100 mile, is it 100 kilometer or 100 mile like race near
There
me. I
was
forget.
100-mile race in, I want to say, Scotland. It's on my Good News Rundown this week. And
Ooh,
a woman ran the race, like the winner of the race. She was in bed by the time the second place person finished. She was 2 hours ahead of the second
what?
place person.
See, and so it's not just like, can we run 100 miles? It's like that bitch just broke the record, and
Yeah.
she was like right in the front. Yeah, and I remember in high school, like think about athletics. We were always told like men are faster, men are far superior. But when I was in high school, Amanda, last name Hunt, maybe it's Amanda, I remember Amanda. She ran faster than all the dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were always like this. And she probably was never told that dudes were faster than her. Do you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like that was probably not part of her framework, but it was ours. And so in our reality, she was like outside the box, and you're like, what in the actual fucky fuck? That was
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Also thinking about like just people that see the way things are done and they're like, no, like we can do it better, we can do something different, like
Right.
not just stopping at people that say that's not possible or you can't do it. I also think of like the
Right.
Wright brothers, for example, the first people that put a plane in the air. There was,
Right.
I want to say, I've someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there was a company working on flight, like aerial, like a plane for years before the Wright brothers, and the Wright brothers did it in like a month. And they saw it and they're like,
Exactly.
"Oh, we can do that. That's no problem." And they were doing it for
Exactly.
funsies.
Yeah. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like once one person breaks a framework, or once one person lives outside the framework, we see what's possible. And then we're like, oh, I want that, or oh, I can have that, or oh, I can do that. And I think that's the interesting thing. And so that's been a lot of what my life has been around about is like, when the company was like 750,000 in a year real fast, right? My ex-husband was a stay-at-home dad. This was like breaking the framework of what it means to be like, who is the breadwinner, and what does the home life look like, and who is taking care of the kid, and like who is managing what. And it was like we broke the framework for all of that. And then we had a bunch of women in our programs who were retiring their husbands because they saw it was possible. And how do you do it? And like, how do you have balance? And it's like, if you look at me with divorce, I'm like, I break the framework. Like, I just got off an hour long conversation with my ex-husband, my kiddo, like to discuss some low down shit. Right. And he texted me afterwards. He like, you handled that fantastically. Right. And it's like, we co-parent really well. That breaks the framework. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he still gets a text that says fuck you every now and then. But we let those fly and we keep focusing on the kid.
Yeah. Breaking the
You
framework
know,
of like divorced parents and
yeah,
how I should
100%.
preface that y'all are divorced now.
Yes, we are divorced now. But I think there's like, okay, well, what does it look like to live in a heightened focus state, having a ex-husband in a different framework than like what we've been told should be. Like it should be fighting and it should be this and it should be like it. And it's like I just, do we fight? Yeah, once in a while. Is it contentious all the time? No. Do we have a common goal and focus with the kid? Yes. Do we understand each other's like humanity? Of course. And then you go, okay, well, what other frameworks can I break? And so if we're talking about expertise, I never feel like I've gotten there anywhere. I'm always looking, like my expertise is like, let's jump into a new framework. Like, patriarchy is bullshit. We've been living in it too long. It's a toxic framework. Like, let's do something else. And doing something else doesn't mean we have a woman in charge on top of patriarchy. Like, it means we have a completely new framework and we don't know what it looks like. But like what would guide us is compassion and love and taking care of kids and taking care of other people and like having our eye on that ball. So I think it's like you always have to come back to like what are your values inside of what you're doing newly, and like what's your intention and what's the outcomes that you'd really like to achieve, and that then gives you a whole new framework. But you have to be willing to let the old one go and like stop fighting in the old one,
Yeah, I feel like I just have to share about that because I saw a TikTok yesterday and it was like somebody giving their prediction of the next Democratic candidate, and it was like maybe it was like from 10 to 1, like 10 is the lowest ranking and the first one whatever, and there were maybe like 2 women on there, and then like the top 5 were men. And it got me so mad. Like the comments were like, oh, like I would love Kamala to run again, but I don't feel like we're ready for a woman president. Or like, oh yeah, I would love if this man ran. And I was like, oh, so I commented because I got so fired up. I was like, oh, so we're just giving up on a woman president, huh? Like we're just giving up on that.
Well, and it's so fascinating because I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I don't know if he's wrong or right, but he was like, it seems like we might just have to have a few women run over and over and over again until we actually get one, because maybe we have to get used to it. I mean, the truth is y'all look it up, Election Truth Alliance, Smart Elections, they will point to the elections were actually rigged and Kamala did win. Okay. Like, we're in a framework where we can't have a woman president. People can't actually fathom. And here it's like, well, she won, but the framework can't hold it yet. And so somebody had to like cheat in order to like win. And you're like, wait, what? And y'all don't trust my words. Go fucking look it up yourself. Election Truth Alliance, Smart Elections. Look at the, is it New York? Is it the Supreme Court of New York? Is that where it is? Where they're having
it's in New York.
So anyways, like all that's happening. So like, did we have a female president win? Yes. Is our framework allowing to hold it? No. The paradigm isn't allowing it in the United States.
How do we know? How do we know? Because it's not happening.
Exactly the point. That's how you know. What framework are you in? Well, what the fuck is happening in your reality? That's how you know what framework you're in. And that's exactly it, right? And so then we go, okay, well, there's more work for us to do. The thing is so inside of this framework where we couldn't have had a female win the election and it was rigged, we actually can't even see that it was rigged. We can't see that it was stolen. We can't see that it was cheated on. We can't see those things because that also doesn't exist in the framework, right? And so then we go, okay, well, these are all the reasons why she didn't win. And you're like, they're all bullshit reasons because it was rigged and that's why she didn't win. But we got to make up reasons. And so people are like, oh, not enough people turned out. That's false. There were more people who turned out to vote. than any other election. But you won't see that on the stats because it was rigged. You go, okay, all right. So, but you have to make up all these reasons, and then you have to say, okay, we're not ready for it. Okay, let's have another man be elected president. And that's what you were talking about. It was like, okay, well, here are all the Democratic nominees for the next go around. And you're like, but she won. Deal with the fact that the election was rigged, and deal with the fact that we're ready for it, or deal with the fact that people actually did vote for Kamala. Deal with that. Nope, we can't deal with that. We're going to deal with current reality, current framework. Men are still
Because
reigning.
if we have a man run again, let's say they're running against Trump, because that guy's probably going to run for a second term, it would just be the same patriarchal framework of like man running against man, putting another man in charge, trying to like, if we're talking about divine feminine awakening, a man is not going to lead the divine feminine awakening.
Right. And that's where you and I, we're like divine feminine awakening. We're here for that, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, let's anchor that framework. Let's anchor that paradigm.
Yeah.
I'm down for that, right? People who aren't looking for that aren't looking for that.
Yeah. And similar to what you said, I think you said it a few weeks ago on here, is like the problem, what did you say? The energy that created the problem won't be the same way you create the solution?
100%.
Is that what you said?
You can't find the answer or the solution in the same energy the problem was created.
Yeah.
So phenomenal solutions always come in the new framework. New realities get birthed in a new framework. So if you're still in the old framework looking for a solution, you're just going to get more of the same. It'll feel better. Might look better. Might be a little bit better. But it won't be new.
Yeah.
It'll just feel the same.
So if you're coming up with a solution in the same framework that you're already functioning from, you're just going to stay in the same framework, peanut butter, fish bowl, dirty water, whatever's. Thanks so much for listening. If you've resonated with anything we've said so far or had any new insights, chances are someone in your circle needs to hear this too. Think about that gal that's ready for her next breakthrough to step more fully into her divine feminine. Take 10 seconds and share this episode with them. Your share could be the catalyst for her next transformation. You got your person? You sent it to them? Okay, cool. Let's get back to the episode.
Let's give one more analogy, just in case people didn't get those. We call it the rose-colored glasses, right? So if in a patriarchal toxic structure, which is what we are in, and we have been in for lifetimes and generations, then we see things like men are stronger, men are smarter, men are providers and protectors. And that's just what we're looking through, and men should be in charge. That's what we're looking through. So if you're like, okay, is that true? You have to take the glasses off. And you either have to put on new glasses, or you just have to start to exist without the filter. The filter is giving the reality, right? So this whole thing, I mean, I went into this whole thing yesterday about like, this was our beach talk, but it was like, are men really providers and protectors? Like, are they really? We say they are, but are they really? Because if they were providing and protecting naturally, if that was a natural occurrence, the entire world would be provided and protected. If that was a natural occurrence. Maybe we've just been told that they are providers and protectors. Maybe that's the propaganda, right? It's not actually a natural expression. If it was a natural expression, it'd be happening everywhere. You can turn it off.
Because so many men are in charge.
Because men are running everything. So if they were naturally providing and protecting, we wouldn't have famine, and we wouldn't have war, and our women would be cared for, and you wouldn't be taking away abortion rights, and there wouldn't be famine in Gaza and having thousands of children just die of hunger. Like, none of that shit would exist if men were naturally providers, protectors, because they're running everything. Okay, so we have to go, that's what we were told. But if I take off my glasses, what do I see? Now I have something else I see. Fascinating. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's another analogy you could use. And all of these are like paradigms. So we're all living in a paradigm, right? And that's ultimately like if you were going to go to psychology or you were going to go to anything, they talk about paradigm. You're living in a paradigm. You're eating and breathing everything in that paradigm. In your paradigm, shit has to occur and shit has to come into your reality in your world equivalent to how you've orchestrated your paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. So you want a new reality, you have to like take your glasses off and build a new paradigm. That's what you and I are doing.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's not a one-time thing either. It's like over and over and over and over again. And that's something that
Yeah.
you've gotten really facile at in the last 15 years or so. Like, what was it for
Yeah.
you that had you become so facile at it? Because if we're looking at different, I'll say experts in their field, like an Oprah
Yeah.
Winfrey or a Tiger Woods or um, a Jesus or I forget the other
Jesus
examples we
Cristo,
said.
love that guy.
Love that
Jesus
guy.
Cristo.
I forget. Warren Buffett, that was the other one we said. If we're looking at those
Yeah.
experts, they have a particular field that they function and
Mm-hmm.
focus on. They go all in on that one thing and get super facile
Mm-hmm.
in like changing the paradigm. But for you, I feel like you do it in all these different areas of life. It's not just this like one area, you do it in like all these areas. So like how did you first like become so facile in that?
I I think it's the simple questioning. I remember questioning and looking for like what is true? Like what is the truth? What is real? And that's a very like scientific process. So I know what we do is like spiritual, energetic, people call it woo woo, but like to question what is true is very scientific.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always wanted evidence. And so it was my type A personality, very scientific, very evidence based, moving into these realms of like spirituality to like question, but like what is real, right? So it was like, and you just bring logic to a lot of shit. So you just go like, so I remember this conversation with our dad. So you're saying if I don't say the words, Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, I go to hell. And he was like, yes. And I was like, let's just break this down real quick. That is a lot of people hanging out in hell. And I was like, I don't know if hell is that big because I don't think the world that makes no sense. Like that makes no sense. And I'm like, it seems like Jesus is very loving. I think that's what he was teaching. I don't think that is congruent with that. I was just like, that is like not congruent. It doesn't
Yeah.
make logic that like holds water in that. And I just like, and then I was like, I was questioning things like that. I was just questioning like the well, that doesn't make sense, and then this doesn't make sense, and then this doesn't, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
huh. And that questioning has me then look for, and here's the deal: I look for the truth. The only truth that I know is like my reality is different from your reality, and we're all making our reality, and like you can create your reality. That's the truth I know. Is there some hardcore fact of truth? No. And
Mm-hmm.
that's fascinating too, right? You're just breaking down all these esoteric conversations, you know? Looking for and I think inside of that you get to like, okay, but what's the foundation? So here's the truth that I know is like I'm creating my own reality, you're creating your own reality. It's based off of our belief system. And then you and I are in a dance based off of our soul contracts, our blueprints, like how we orchestrated this reality. And then we're coming together and dancing in this thing where this is the only place in the universe where you get a body, you get to be in 3D reality, you get to taste your coffee, you get to have chocolate, you get to feel the breeze on your skin, you get to dance, you have free will. That's the only place in the whole universe. And that's pretty fucking extraordinary. And if you like take out right and wrong and good and bad, and you're like, okay, this is like an amazing fucking time in history. Like shit is crumbling. We're here for it. It sounds terrible and amazing all at the same time. But like we incarnated for this time. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are the things that I know to be true, without a doubt. And everything else I question.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I end up doing is I'm actually questioning the frameworks, right? I'm questioning like, what's your structure and how you're looking at things? And do you want to change it? And if you do, I can show you how to change it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like, what is my structure and how I'm doing things and how far have I come? And then like, what do I want to go to next? And how do I jump into that next fishbowl or that next paradigm or that next reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's I mean, I went on my soapbox for a little bit, but I think that's like, that's the mastery is like, it just started like, it was like the questioning of like, what is true and what is, I remember like the first time I started coaching people and I was like, everybody was hung up on time and money. And I was like, what is time and what is money? And I went down a quantum mechanics and theory, like rabbit hole and like time doesn't fucking exist. And I was like, yeah, let's dive into that. And then people would talk about time. And like, it doesn't exist though. Like, it's really weird. I'm like, what is
Mm-hmm.
money? It's like, well, that's weird. And then like going like, what is the truth about these things? There ain't no truth in those.
Mm-hmm.
Super weird,
Yeah.
right?
So it sounds like a lot of detachment as well. Like questioning your
Mhm.
reality, not being very
Yeah.
attached to like, this is the answer, this is the right way and the way that things have to be, and it's just the way that it is. But like, being in flow of like the questioning and what the answer may or may not be. Like the willingness to be quote unquote wrong
Yeah.
and question like how things are showing up for you.
Yeah. And I think that willing to be wrong, I think that was a muscle I had to build over time. I think that's the one thing like, I mean, now I'm really good at it. Like I could be like, oh, I was wrong about that and I got nothing going on about it and like let's change and shift. But like, I think that is part of the ego, like really letting that go.
Mm-hmm.
Really being okay with not having the quote unquote right answer. I think we get so attached to the rightness. And we have
Mm-hmm.
something like if I'm wrong, I'm dying. If I fail, I'm dying. It's like
It's the end of the world.
but that's also trained in the patriarchy because there's like, shame and guilt and all that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
What did I say? End of the world. It's the
It's
end of
the
the world. Like,
end of the world. Yeah, exactly. Right. And you're just like, it's wild that it's so extreme when it's like, I just said the wrong thing, or I just said that wasn't cool, or I take that back, or let me apologize, and like let's relook at this, and like we can make this better. It's like no big deal. And I think that kind of outlook too, and like building that muscle is very freeing too.
mm-hmm. So, what sort of frameworks, fishbowls have you been deconstructing lately?
Um, really in the relationship realm.
Mm-hmm.
So like really the differences between men and women. And I think that has to do there are things that I've mastered in frameworks. So like money energy. I know I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to you about this. I'm like, it's real weird. Like I don't have scarcity, I don't have doubt, I don't have fear. Like money comes, big money comes, small money comes, like it always flows. There's just it's just literally energy. And I am
Mm-hmm.
the same way about time, right? So like I've been deconstructing time for like so long, right? So I'm like, time, everything always works out. There's no scarcity of it. I'm in the moment. I love people I'm around. I love the thing that I'm doing at the moment I'm doing it. It doesn't matter what it is. I like go all in and I surrender and like that's super fun too. Um but like this thing about men and women, I feel like is just really fascinating to me. I think I'm like, what are the natural characteristics of men and women, but divine and feminine? Where have
Mm-hmm.
we gone astray with this toxic framework? Where has the toxic framework and patriarchy guided women and guided men ickily? Like not fantastically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where have people like given up their full self-expression? Where have people given up their full sense of self? Where are they not dancing with each other, not in partnership of each other? And like, where could they do that more? And like, what are the divine expressions of men and women? And it's like, I'm down for all that. So I am like super in all of that. And I think that's really where we're at as a society in the United States. I don't want to speak for other countries and I don't want to speak for other places, but like I think in the United States, we're very much in that
Mm-hmm.
fishbowl. I am.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of us, but like that's what I'm definitely taking on right now, right?
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of things in that, like, questioning, is marriage a working structure, or was that real forward thinking patriarchal framework? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does it actually benefit women, or is it mostly just benefiting men? How, if I want to do marriage again, how do I want it to look if it has no old framework and it's just new framework? Is monogamy beneficial? Is it not beneficial? You know what I mean? I'm like, there are so many things. And like, what if right now the big thing for women is like really honoring like ourself in such a way, like being alone is like fantastic. And having a partner sometimes is great. Like what if there's like a whole nother thing? And so I'm really in this complete exploration of all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it sounds like when you're looking at a new framework, for example, you're not looking at how it's gone before or the options that have been given to you before, like what people are currently doing. You're like thinking outside the box of like if there was a completely new way that this could occur, like what could that be,
yeah,
or like questioning that. Because I feel like sometimes um,
yeah.
we we look outside of our framework, but we look at the options that we've seen before, because that's like how our brain works, is we
Mhm.
want to see examples of like things we've seen in reality. So
Yeah.
it sounds like you do that the least amount as possible when it comes to like creating a new framework potentially.
Yeah, because I don't think here's what I see people do a lot. And I might have used to do this, I don't know. But you're like, "Oh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I really don't like this." And that energy and so much energy on it keeps creating that reality and more resistance persistence. And so it doesn't create anything new for
Like just
anybody,
are you
right?
saying like just telling someone this doesn't work for me, or just like sitting in that in
Or
your own
in your
reality?
head, or yeah, it could be in
Mm-hmm.
your head, it could be talking about it, you could be complaining to somebody else, right? So if we're just like, like let's say I'm a dude and I'm married and I'm like, oh, my wife, she's so boring. She just da, 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 da. You just get stuck in like, I don't like my wife is literally what you're stuck in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what you're not doing is you're not being like, oh, what do I love about my life? Like, what's working? What do I love? What do I want to take to the next level? What else would I want to experience? What's great for me and what's great for them? How do we have that be more expansive and like grow?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking at relationships, that's what I'm actually looking at. I'm like, okay, what have I learned so far that's like really good for me? Quiet and peace and calm and my aesthetics and like waking up slow and having a slow like those are all really good for me. And
Mm-hmm.
like who's kind of guided me or shown me that, right? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm like, okay, well, what takes care of them and what takes care of me and what new structure could get created that's like benefiting all of it. And
Mm-hmm.
like, well, we were told like monogamy and marriage was it, but is that part of a toxic system? Could that be part of a new framework? What kind of agreements would have to be in there that would really work? And what does the divine feminine and divine masculine look like in that framework? And I don't think we have any, and I haven't seen any answers in that right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm still in exploration, because I've also been like the provider in my past marriage, right? Like I was the provider. I was the breadwinner. I was also running the house and running the show and like, what do I want? Da, da, da. It was like, oh my God. And that was exhausting. Like, so I don't want that, right? But if I get stuck on just I don't want,
Mm-hmm.
that creates more the thing that I don't want. So I have to go like, but what are the elements that really worked, and what am I creating newly, and what is possible, and what would it look like, and what would that person be like, and who would I be like, and like, and I have to rearrange myself about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Does that track?
Yeah, totally. It sounds like, okay, so some of the most important things for our listeners to take away. When it comes to changing your framework, number one, it's like questioning what's true, questioning
Yeah.
your reality, questioning what's right or wrong, being willing to be wrong. Like
Mhm.
if your reality is not the way that you like it, like being willing to be wrong about it. And
Yeah.
focusing on the things that you like in your current reality and what works in your current reality so that you can also expand upon the things that you already like and the things that you already love and
Hmm.
like what that looks like in a new reality.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. All that.
Okay, cool.
And it's building the muscle to do it all the time, every moment of every day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is what I'm like, that's an expertise I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can get a call from the expert and then we can go right into the kid's experience of what just happened today,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like you go, okay, I'm ready. Doesn't matter if I've had all my coffee or not. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else our listeners could focus on if they are looking to leapfrog from their current paradigm reality to a different paradigm reality?
Oh, you know what I'm gonna say. You shall meditate. Should we just but like it should be like hashtag meditate at the end of this podcast, we will say hashtag meditate. Um, but that really was like a real opening experience for me. Pathway. Like that really built a muscle. Like when you're present, and this is because this is what I want to say. Most people, and so if you're listening to this, you want to question this. Most people function like my feeling or my interpretation of what is happening is real. And when you function like it's real, then the reality has to show up to match your assessment of what is real. When you start meditating, you learn the capacity to be still and be an observer. And when you observe, you actually get more information than just your thoughts and your feelings. And when you observe and you get that data set of like what is happening and you're observing and you're not reacting to a feeling and you're not reacting to an interpretation, that data set is going to show you either what you like, what you don't like, what you want to change, and what else could be possible with no interpretation from your triggers, past events, experiences, because that's really what feelings and reactions and interpretations are. They're all coming from the past. So meditation is always number one. And again, like our whole, I mean, I hate to plug it, but I don't hate to plug it. Our whole program, the Beyond Human Method, is literally about taking you out of that like human limitation. The human limitation is the paradigm you're in. You want to live outside those limitations. You got to like have something, a new framework. Like the Beyond Human Method is going to train you in that framework. And like that's why I'm such an advocate for the work that I created, is because I'm like, because everything else is just going to give you a little bit better, a little bit more of the same, and a little bit better reality, instead of being like, make $168,000 in one day, have like an amazing fucking relationship, like go in an RV with your kids and quit your job and like fucking travel and like experience the thing that your soul is here to experience, you know? Like that's where true fulfillment lies, whether it's money or family or significant other or great relationship. But like you keep trying to get it in your old framework and you just get stuck and you get stuck in the loop. We got to get you out of the loop. So I think meditation is always an amazing starting point.
And that's a great point about the thoughts and the feelings, because a lot of people think, believe, feel that they can't change their feelings, that they're at the effect of the feelings they have, that they're real, like you said. And similar with thoughts, where maybe we can change our thoughts, but I've heard a lot of people say like getting out of my monkey mind, or like trying to
Mhm.
trying to get out of this thought pattern that we just feel so at the effect of. And
Yeah.
meditation is a really great tool and a really great way to shift that and change that, become more of the observer. And I think one other thing I would share, like as we close out the episode, is I've noticed we operate on this like frequency scale. So like on in the lower
Mhm.
frequency there's like guilt and shame and make wrong and not enough and lack and whatever. On the
Yeah.
mid-range we get to acceptance and observation. So like when you meditate you move
Mhm.
from that lower frequency into that mid-range of like acceptance.
Mhm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of people I've spoken to have said like, "Oh, I accept the things I cannot change." Like I hear that a lot, or and I know that's a tool that
Yeah.
people use. And
Yeah.
it's a good tool to like be in acceptance, be in non-attachment, like function in a particular way. And I sense you can also take it
Mhm.
one step further into a higher level frequency. And that's what we're talking about now is like
Yeah.
operating that higher level frequency where there's love, expansion, joy, fun. Like those are the kind of energies in like the higher level frequency. And it's when you get to that point where you start to question and leapfrog and jump into like, okay, well, what else is possible? I'm the creator of the reality. I know I can change everything. What else is possible other than just like accepting
Well,
reality the way that it is? Go ahead.
100%. And those higher level frequencies is where most masters function in. And when I say masters, I mean like enlightened masters and living enlightened masters. And like that's for me. I wouldn't say I'm religious. There's no dogma I follow, but I love all the teachings of religions that are caring for other people, let's be real, but are not like um right wing bullshit, okay? Not hate spewed, but like if it's based in love, it's there. And that's most religions, the foundation of most religions. And so Jesus Christo, Jesus Christ, was teaching that. But like,
Mm-hmm.
so like if you get into the upper levels in that mastery, you start to learn that you're the creator of your reality. You are the creator of when you get like, okay, so you're like at the effect of your reality, you're accepting your reality, now you're at creating your reality. And so it's like, well, what are you going to create? Like if you get in that level of mastery, and I think that's really like it is for me, my belief system, like we incarnated to create our reality, we incarnated to live at that level. Like Jesus Christo's life was about that. He wasn't about create a religion and fucking follow me, and everybody else who isn't in that religion is wrong. He was like, I don't want followers, like I'm here to teach. And so almost every enlightened master that is like authentically here will say, I don't want followers. I'm here to show you what's possible,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. And that's in that higher level, and that's where you can release all the old frameworks and live in a new framework. That's where there is no limit to what is possible. That's living beyond the human limitation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that you're saying that, because it is like when people get really fucked up sometimes in our course, so they're like, I'm dealing with this thing. I'm like, okay, just breathe. Like you're here. Like, to use your analogy, if you're here, like, can we get you just to accept what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
No. And you're like, okay, then the work is to just work on moving from where you're at to just accepting that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Okay, we're just gonna keep breathing until we can get you just to accept what is happening. you know, which is totally fine. Like that's part of the human experience. But the more that you like do that, and like let's say, like I probably don't function in that lower level almost ever. I'm mostly in the higher level, but there are moments where I'm like, okay, I'm just accepting, right? Like I could
Yeah.
be like, let's just okay.
Yeah.
It's just, those days where I rage out or something. Just accept it, okay.
Yeah.
And then come back up here.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is like that great analogy for sure.
Awesome. Well, anything else you would like to give our listeners before we close out the episode today?
Go do the free meditation series, my loves. Like learn to meditate. If you aren't meditating, learn to meditate. That's why it's out there. Why are you
There we
always
go.
laughing at me? You're like,
I don't know. You can plug in however
saying it
you want.
again.
You're the founder. You can do whatever you want, but we'll put the link to the free meditation series in
I
the description
mean,
for you.
let's be real. You ready to take the leap? Come work with us. Like for real. You want to work in you want to learn like new frameworks. You want to learn a mastery. You want to learn self mastery. Like this is the jam. This is the place. This is what I created. But like, you want to take a baby step? We got meditation.
I'll put
It's
the
truly
link in
simple.
the description if you want to book a discovery call with me. We can chat about it, just see if the methodology is a fit for what you're creating. No big deal.
And
All
did
right,
you
with
know?
that, we will close out the episode for today. Tamara, thank you for being on with me again. We will see you all next week. Keep making magic. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are so grateful you'd spend time with us, shifting your perspective and expanding your divine feminine power. If today's conversation resonated with you, help us grow. Rate the show, subscribe, and keep following for more. And remember, we are here every Tuesday with new episodes. But until then, you can uncover your divine feminine expression with our Divine Feminine Archetype Quiz. Discover the blocks keeping you from accessing your divinity and get a step-by-step pathway to embody your authentic expression. And if you're looking to take your divine feminine journey to the next level, join our community and get access to our free 20-day meditation series. Start with just 5 minutes and increase by 1 minute every day to expand your divine capacities. Link is in the description. Until next time, keep honoring your divine feminine magic.